I had a fantasy draft for a league I've been in for 6 years now, and I did do a live stream of it, and I had a feeling some of them were watching, so I had to make some comments throughout. I hope you enjoy that, but before I get into it, if you could take a second, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you don't already. We're going to be here all season long, including doing a live stream every Saturday night, a start-sit Q&A. Come in, ask some questions, talk some fantasy football. Football is finally back. I'm super excited. Now let's get into the video. What is going on, everybody? We have another fantasy draft today. We have a 12-team full PPR. We have the 9th overall pick. Excited to dive into this one. The draft has started, and we got Chicago Bears market on the clock. Justin Jefferson off the board, as expected. Jamar Chase, number 2. Austin Eckler, 3. Christian McCaffrey continues to get pushed down the line with Travis Kelce going 4th. Tyreek Hill going 5th. Man, we should have gave everyone 30 seconds to make a pick. A minute 30. We're in the first round. It's taking a whole minute 30 to make a pick. And there goes Christian McCaffrey. Bijan Robinson. Devontae Adams. Almost knocked my drink over. I'm gonna go wide receiver here. We got Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown. I'm gonna go with AJ Brown. Man, I can't believe we're doing a kicker in this league again. Cooper Kupp off the board. Stephon Diggs, Derrick Henry, and CeeDee Lamb. Team Valentine taking forever to make the pick. As usual, we need to do 30 seconds to make a pick. Put the pressure on. Nick Chubb off the board, and Saquon Barkley, and it's on me. And I'm going to go with another wide receiver. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. Really like him this season. I think he could be a top 10 wide receiver this season. Also like his touchdown props on Sportsbook. I think it's at 8.5. Earlier on in the offseason, it was at 7.5. Moved to 8.5 now. I think he could get double-digit touchdowns this season. Ross St. Brown off the board. Chris Olave. Josh Jacobs. Tony Pollard. A lot of running backs off the board. DK Metcalf off the board. Going up to line him up French. Oh, Mixon off the board. In the second round. Devontae Smith. First quarterback off the board, Patrick Mahomes. Najee Harris. Calvin Ridley. Another quarterback off the board with Josh Allen. Travis Etienne. Mark Andrews. There goes Jalen Hurts. Does Jalen Waddle fallen because he has a Q next to his name? Jahmyr Gibbs. And Lamar Jackson off the board. Kind of unfortunate. Man, I'm going to have to go with Waddle here. I can't believe he's still available. T. Higgins. Alexander Madison. A little bit of a reach. I will say. But, you know, some people want to get their guys. There's nothing wrong with that. About to be going into the 4th round here. So far, we have AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, and Jalen Waddle. 3 wide receivers here. Deebo Samuel off the board. And Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow did return to practice, so, you know, there was talks that he could miss a couple games into the season due to that calf strain, but it seems like it's going to be good to go. Amari Cooper's off the board. And Justin Fields drafted. And I'm going to go with a running back here, and I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson. I know Ezekiel Elliott's there, but I'm not worried about that. Ramondre Stevenson's going to be the pass-catching back. I'm not really worried about Zeke. And then we got Dameon Pierce off the board. The Jonathan Taylor situation is something that is kind of scary when you're drafting him. He's going to miss some time, a minimum of 4 weeks. They placed him on the PUP list. So that means he has to sit out 4 weeks no matter what. After that point, he can return. Obviously, there's a lot of bad blood with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. So it's obviously going to be a situation where they're going to have to work things out. I'm sure if the Colts come out and they look a lot better and, you know, win a couple games within the first 4 games, I could see that changing Jonathan Taylor's attitude about being a Colt. But if they come out and they go 0-4, for instance, I think there's a chance that he's still going to demand a trade. Definitely a little sketchy if you want to target him in drafts. But Keenan Allen's off the board, and we got Chris Godwin off the board. A.K. Dobbins off the board. Not the biggest J.K. Dobbins fan, to be honest. There's a lot of hype around him. I just don't see it, especially in PPR. I don't see him really being much of a pass catcher. DeAndre Hopkins off the board. We got Mike Williams off the board, and Aaron Jones. If you're watching and haven't yet, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. And then Jonathan Taylor off the board here. If he does come back after the 4 weeks and is healthy, I mean, we know how good he can be. So we got Christian Watson and Breece Hall off the board now. TJ Hawkinson off the board. James Conner. Justin Herbert off the board. That's definitely a good pick, getting him in the middle of the 5th round. DJ Moore off the board. Miles Sanders about to be on me. We got Kenneth Walker off the board. Now let's take a look here. I definitely want to go for a running back. I'm going to go with James Cook, getting him as our 2nd running back. I don't mind it. I hope Damian Harris doesn't take too many touchdowns away from him. And then we have Darren Waller off the board here. Alvin Kamara off the board here. Then we have Deontay Johnson and George Kittle. Marquise Brown and David Montgomery off the board, leaving me with the guy that I was hoping would make it back to me, and that is Javonte Williams. I'm not worried about him coming off of the ACL. I mean, they played him in the preseason game. That's a good sign that they are confident in him and where he's at with recovering from the injury. We have Isaiah Pacheco off the board right after Javonte Williams. Feeling pretty good about this team so far. Feeling pretty good. Wait, how many bench spots do we have? We have 6 bench spots. That's crazy. And a kicker. Might as well give everyone a 53-man roster at that point. Geno Smith. Geno Smith was good last year. I just feel like he doesn't have that big of a ceiling. You know, you could get on a really good day, you probably can get 30 points out of him. Then Terry McLaurin off the board. Rachaad White off the board. I like Rachaad White this season. I think he's in a good position. There's not really anyone there that I feel like are going to really take touches away. I mean, with Baker Mayfield, we could see a lot of dump offs to Rachaad White. And then we got Mike Evans off the board and Tyler Lockett. I mean, Tyler Lockett has been super consistent. I have this gut feeling that Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to really cut into Tyler Lockett's workload. I'm curious to see how it all plays out, but Tyler Lockett has been super consistent. And getting him the end of the 6th round, not bad. And then we have Cam Akers and Drake London off the board. So far, I'm not minding this team at all. We have Ramondre Stevenson, James Cook, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, and Javonte Williams. Not bad so far. And Kyle Pitts is off the board. And then we have Dallas Goedert off the board. Christian Kirk and Deshaun Watson off the board. I like Deshaun Watson this season. I don't know about grabbing him right there, especially with Trevor Lawrence still on the board. But, I mean, Deshaun Watson, I expect a bounce-back season. Going into his 2nd year with the Cleveland Browns, now another year removed from all the off-the-field situations. I think that we could see Deshaun Watson bounce back. And then we got Jerry Jeudy off the board, who is dealing with an injury. I believe it's a hamstring. And this Denver Broncos wide receiver core just got destroyed with injuries. KJ Hamler and Tim Patrick both injured as well. Pat Fairmouth off the board. David Njoku, seems like him and Deshaun Watson even last year had a connection going, and he's a big target, especially in the end zone. And it is on me, and the player that I was waiting for is still here, and that's Brandon Ayuk. And Jahan Dotson off the board. Terry McLaurin injured. I mean, even with Terry McLaurin, I think Jahan Dotson going into his second year, I think he could be one of those breakout candidates. And then Brandon Cooks to follow it up. I think Brandon Cooks, that gives Dak Prescott another weapon, take some attention off of CeeDee Lamb. And we know Brandon Cooks has been consistent on every team he's been with. So I think that was a great pickup for the Cowboys. And then we got A.J. Dillon off the board. Khalil Herbert. So far, our team's looking pretty solid in my opinion. We have Ramondre Stevenson, James Cook, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Williams, and Brandon Ayuk. Jamal Williams off the board. And George Pickens is off the board here. And, I'm gonna reach for someone, and this may be a little aggressive, but I really want him on my team. I'm gonna draft Zay Flowers. I think there's a lot of upside with him. They got a new offensive coordinator that likes to play more fast pace, throw the ball a lot more. Van Jefferson off the board. All right. There we go. Michael Pittman off the board. That was who I thought was going to go. He's a great value. He's going late in drafts. He went in the mid-8th round here. So then we have Cortland Sutton off the board. That's a good pick as well. DeAndre Swift off the board. And honestly, the Philadelphia Eagles backfield is one that I'm personally staying away. And finally, Trevor Lawrence goes off the board, man. I was looking at him. I couldn't believe he was still available. And I need a quarterback. I did draft him in my other league, and that's kind of why I was staying away. And then we have Gabe Davis and Dalvin Cook. But Trevor Lawrence, getting him that late, that is a steal for Juggalo Nation. Great pick. And a couple of quarterbacks went ahead of him. That kind of was shocking. I think this is going to be a good season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The division that they're in is very weak. So I do like the upside. And then Quentin Johnston off the board. I don't like to predict injuries or anything, but with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, it seems like every year those guys are missing a handful of games, and that is going to benefit someone like Quentin Johnston. We got Slant Boy going off the board, Brian Robinson Jr., Antonio Gibson off the board, and then we got Samaje Perine off the board. Jerick McKinnon off the board. Not a bad pick in PPR. I mean, last season, he saw upwards of 8 targets a game. There's a stretch. And then Odell Beckham off the board finally. I'm going to continue just to get some wide receivers here. I'm going to go with Sky Moore. I think he's someone that is going to be involved in this Chiefs offense. Dalton Schultz off the board. We're about to be going into the 10th round. So far, our team not looking too bad. We have Ramondre Stevenson, James Cook, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Williams, Brandon Ayuk, Zay Flowers, and Sky Moore. Zach Charbonnet off the board. And then we got Treylon Burks, Dak Prescott. It's on me, and Jacoby Myers off the board. And I'm going to go with Elijah Moore. I think this is a great opportunity to get the workload that he was looking to get with the Jets. Daniel Jones off the board. And Alan Lazard, Juju Smith-Schuster. Every time I see the kicker position, I'm just like, why do we still have that position? Then we got Cole Kmet off the board. And as we get into the later rounds, we got Kirk Cousins off the board. And then we got Darnell Mooney, Dalton Kincaid off the board. We have Elijah Mitchell off the board. Tyler Boyd. Elijah Mitchell is someone, if you are drafting and you want to grab a late round running back, I think Elijah Mitchell is a great option. Obviously they have Christian McCaffrey, but we even saw it last year. After, if the 49ers are up, there's a good chance that they're not going to keep running out Christian McCaffrey, and Elijah Mitchell will be put in. And we know Elijah Mitchell can produce. Even after all the injuries, he comes in and he pounds that ball, and he he's been good. So we got Jeff Wilson Jr. off the board. We have Rondell Moore off the board, and then we have the first defense, I believe, off the board with the Ravens, and then the 49ers defense. Interesting strategy to grab the defense. That's usually something, a position that I'd just wait until the last round. I mean, and another defense, the Falcons defense off the board. One person goes with the defense, I guess everyone. So I'm going defense, I guess, this round. Okay, it's on me, and I'm gonna grab my quarterback, and I'm gonna grab Tua. We have Jalen Waddle, so Ezekiel Elliott off the board, and then we got Raheem Mostert off the board, and we have Anthony Richardson off the board. Which Anthony Richardson, I think, you know, there's a lot of upside with Anthony Richardson. He's a big dude. I mean, I think he's like 6'2", something around there, 240 pounds. He's mobile, has a big arm. I think there's a lot of upside with Anthony Richardson. And then we have Tyler Algier off the board as well. 2 more picks until we can pick again. Michael Gallup off the board here. So we still need a tight end, defense, kicker, and then 1 more bench spot. And we got Roschon Johnson off the board. And the guy that I wanted is still here. And that is Tanks Bigsby, the RB2 behind Travis Etienne. Goes Jameson Williams, suspended the first 6 games. Then we have Michael Wilson for the Arizona Cardinals off the board. Devin Singletary. We have KJ Osborne off the board. I like KJ Osborne. Obviously the Vikings went out and drafted Jordan Addison, but I do think KJ Osborne earned himself a role in this offense. He's the wide receiver 2 right now. We could see a change with Jordan Addison, the rookie, but I do think KJ Osborne is a great value pick that you can grab late in drafts. So then we have DJ Chark injured. I had a lot of hope for DJ Chark. Honestly, he was the wide receiver 1, and now he's injured. So Adam Thielen is the only healthy wide receiver left there, because Terrace Marshall is also hurt. And then they're going to have to throw in some of these rookies like Jonathan Mingo. Definitely a tough situation for the Carolina Panthers. And then we got Kyron Williams, Commanders defense, Eagles defense, Aaron Rodgers off the board, Tyler Higbee off the board, Russell Wilson, Damian Harris, and then we got Justin Tucker off the board for the kicker position. Kenneth Gainwell off the board. Then we got Kendra Miller off the board. And obviously it is on me. And I'm looking at a couple tight ends here. Gerald Everett and Juwan Johnson that I'm looking at. And I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson. And we have Adam Thielen and then Jonathan Mingo off the board. Evan McPherson off the board. And I'm going to go with Daniel Carlson here. And then we just need our defense. Cowboys defense. Harrison Butker off the board. Zach Ertz off the board. And then we have Tyler Bass off the board. Kicker for the Buffalo Bills. Dolphins D off the board. We should be flying through this last round. Keyword should. Cleveland Browns off the board. Oh my God, Tom Brady is off the board. Tom Brady, Chicago Bears market. Honestly, this guy is crazy. Graham Gano and Jake Elliott off the board. Matt Gay, Jared Goff, Kenny Pickett, and Kadarius Toney. I mean, honestly, not a bad pick there, getting Kadarius Toney that late. And I'm gonna go with the Patriots defense. That wraps up the draft for me here. So our team overall, not too bad. We have Tua Tagovailoa, Ramondre Stevenson, James Cook, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Juwan Johnson, Jalen Waddle, Patriots defense, Carlson as the kicker. We have Javonte Williams, Brandon Ayuk, Zay Flowers, Sky Moore, Elijah Moore, and Tanks Bigsby. So pretty solid. That is going to do it for us today. Appreciate everyone coming, hanging out, and watching. If you're watching this later, appreciate you watching. But that's going to do it for us today. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we're going to be here all season long, every Saturday night, doing our start, sit, Q&A. Come in, ask questions. Let's talk some fantasy football. We're about a week away from the season kicking off with the Detroit Lions taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Cannot wait. Good luck to you this season, and we'll catch you around.